All right, welcome in. I'm the Kodiak, and it is currently 12:30 a.m., and you know what that means. It is time to talk some Broncos. So, yeah, here are 5 Senior Bowl studs who would make great Denver Broncos. Now, I just want to mention a couple things. First of all, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for all the support that you've given to this channel recently. We've been doing absolute numbers with the sub count, the view count, and the like count, so let's keep it going. Yeah, you can always wait till the end. Hopefully, I'll have earned your like and subscription. My comment question of the day is, what was the first Broncos jersey you owned? So for me, it was Eddie Royal when I was 10 back in 2011. And yeah, follow me on Twitter at Kodiak Broncos if you enjoy what I have to say on here. And real quick, why does this matter? Well, because 2 of your favorite Denver Broncos, Riley Moss and Quinn Miners, were Senior Bowl studs. And the ability for lesser-known prospects to make their name known is absolutely fantastic, and it's what people strive for when setting up these events. Let's dive right into it. So, number 1, this actually is more of a personal connection more than an actual player connection. Granted, he does fit what the Denver Broncos need, and taking him would make a lot of sense, but I never met Terrance, okay? I never met Terrance Ferguson, but I sat next to his brother, Philip, in math class my senior year of high school, and Philip was one of the funniest dudes, legit, I had ever met. I hope that he comes to the Broncos because I know that he would be a great fit for the team. He's a local kid, and we love our local kids here. He has, like, literal Colorado tattoos, so he has a lot of pride, showcasing that he is from Colorado, and I can only imagine a better opportunity for him to rep the Denver Broncos. Official Senior Bowl size for Terrance Ferguson, 6'5", 251. And this one makes a lot of sense because, A, you get Bo Nix as tight end. We need a tight end. You get Bo Nix's most productive college tight end. And one thing that we were really lacking, in my opinion, was the ability to have a guy who could win one-on-ones in the red zone. Granted, I think our tight ends actually did a pretty nice job of getting into the end zone last year, considering all the other problems they had in that room. But we didn't have a guy who could match up with inside linebackers and, completely dust them off the line of scrimmage. That's where you're getting in Terrance Ferguson. And even though Adkins, Troutman, and Kroll did have some touchdowns last year, they were pretty much schemed open the whole time. He delivered heavily in the red zone. I remember watching him in the Pac-12 championship in person against Washington in 2023, and I remember seeing him catch 2 touchdowns down there. So, yeah, the good thing about Terrance Ferguson is that he's also likely not going to cost you an early pick. A lot of the mock drafts I've seen have him like rising into the 3rd and 4th, but it's still early on in the process, so we'll see where he ends up getting drafted. But career stats at Oregon: 134 receptions, 1,537 yards, and 16 touchdowns. I think he had very, very similar stats this year to what he did last year. So yeah, overall, I think Terrance Ferguson would be a great fit for us. Everything just makes sense here. Now, a running back I really like who we may not have to break the bank for. So if the Broncos invest heavily into the running back position this offseason, then all right, so be it. I'm expecting them to. But for a guy, if you're going bargain hunting, this is your guy. It's Bhayshul Tuten, the running back out of Virginia Tech. So his official Senior Bowl size was 5'8", 211 pounds. And when Let's Talk Broncos and Frankie from Let's Talk Broncos was interviewing him, he seemed like a really, really smart dude because he was talking about how important it is for running backs to play on 3rd down. And he said that, you know what, running backs can block, all of us can run, but, there needs to be a running back who can run routes out of the backfield on certain NFL teams. And that is 100% missing from this roster. Like, do you think there are any running backs on this team who could realistically run a Texas route? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think Jalil can do it. I don't think Javonte can do it. I don't think Estime can do it. It's very possible that they do add that guy this upcoming year, but I see no reason why it wouldn't be Bhayshul Tuten. He's a very, very good player. My favorite thing about him was that he really showed out in big games. Now, he only got 4 carries against Clemson because I believe he actually ended up getting hurt, and he had to leave the game early. So that was one of the 2 ranked opponents he played last year. But the other ranked opponent they played was number 7 Miami on the road, where he finished with 19 for 141 and 1 on the ground. And one of my favorite things about him is that linebackers just simply cannot keep up with him as a route runner and at the second level. Like, he just blows the doors off linebackers, and he's just a matchup nightmare. So career stats for him: 356 attempts, 2,022 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 50 receptions, 320 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now, disclaimer, he actually went to North Carolina Agricultural and Tech, I think, NCA&T, I think that's the abbreviation, his first 2 years. So these are only the 2 years that he played at Virginia Tech. And yeah, overall, just really impressed with him. I think he could be a really, really nice fit for an NFL team at the next level. Now, speaking of, if you just want an athletic specimen, one who's just uber impressive, and you're just shooting for upside, literally anywhere in this draft at the tight end position, here you go. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami. So measured in at 6'4", 251. That was Noah Fant's size. So this is basically a rerule on Noah Fant because we thought we were getting Noah Fant who was extremely fast and played very quick with the ball in his hands, but unfortunately he just didn't play big enough. That's not a problem with Elijah Arroyo. He plays massive, and by the way, top speed as a ball carrier this past year in college football was against Georgia Tech, where he housed like a 70-yard touchdown. 21.8 miles per hour. There were only 6 NFL players that had a faster game speed this year when they were the ball carrier. Did you hear me? 6. Only 6. And those guys I have them written down here were Kevontae Turpin, Brian Thomas Jr., Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Nico Collins, and James Cook. So those 6 dudes were the only guys that had faster ball carrier speed than Elijah Arroyo had this past season at Miami. Now, he brings very unique speed and twitchiness as a tight end. He looks very crisp running his routes. So the ability to have a guy lined up in the slot but also play him in line would absolutely be fantastic for this team. I can only imagine Sean Payton just salivating over what Arroyo could bring to this very lackadaisical tight end room. And he was often injured his first 2 years at Miami. I think he redshirted his first year, but even after that, there wasn't really a whole lot there. But he finally broke out this past season. And I think he had around 500 yards, so his career stats were 46 receptions, 753 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So he was definitely a late riser in the context of a college football player, but he's been absolutely annihilating dudes this week, and everything we've heard about him down in Mobile indicates that he's just going to keep rising and rising in the draft, and he could end up overtaking Harold Fannin as tight end 3 off the board. Now, if you are looking for your Courtland Sutton succession plan, look no further than Jayden Higgins, a wide receiver out of Iowa State. So he measured in at 6'3", 217 pounds, and why I think he would be a really, really good fit, late second, early third, is because the Broncos don't have a real succession plan at wide receiver, and Sutton is 30 years old. Sutton will definitely be a part of this team in 2025, but the NFL changes so quickly. What about 2026? Do we have an answer there? And the ability to give Jayden Higgins that opportunity, I think, would be something that I think we could really look forward to in Broncos country if they were to pull the trigger on him. And I know I've seen a lot of people compare him to Xavier Hutchinson. I just don't see it whatsoever. I think Higgins is just flat out much better than Xavier Hutchinson was when he was coming out of Iowa State. But he's just been absolutely annihilating defensive backs all week. And one of my favorite things about his game is that I like when bigger dudes are able to separate, because even though you can box a defender out, you really want to see the separation ability, because in college football, you can win. It is entirely possible to win being bigger and faster than everyone else. Granted, that's how you can win in the NFL too, but in the NFL, guess what? Everybody else is bigger. Everybody else is faster. So we need to see the reception to perception data, but just from looking at his game, I think it tracks. And he looks like a very, very good separator when I watch him, so that'd be great. The ability to have an actual separator at the X receiver position once Courtland Sutton does decide to move on, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. I'd be very shocked if it was this year, as I previously mentioned. But ultimately, I just really, really would like to see Jayden Higgins be one of our draft picks, because I just think that he fits what we're looking for almost all too well. And I think he just fits us like a glove. And I don't think you're going to have to break the bank for him capital-wise either. So, yeah. Now, career stats, 140 receptions, 2,166 yards, and 15 touchdowns. So, I know it's been long enough, but here you go. Defensive player, everybody. This is Cody Lindenberg, linebacker out of Minnesota. He measured in at 6'2", 239. Now, you want your ultra-smart coverage inside linebacker who can be fast enough to keep up with running backs and could and has the frame and ability to play big enough to match up with tight ends, here you go. This is your guy. And I know that that sounds appealing to a lot of Broncos fans because covering tight ends has been an issue for us for multitudes of years. But one of my favorite things about him when I was listening to him during his interview, I think some Packers reporter was like interviewing him, but talking about Cody Lindenberg, he absolutely craves the green dot. He was like, the reporter was like, "What's your biggest strength?" And he was like, "My intelligence. I want the green dot. I want to be able to call this defense. I want to be able to point out checks. I want to be the communicator in the middle of the field." And we don't have that yet. We don't have the long-term answer at that position in our room yet. So even though we could end up bringing in a few guys in free agency, if you're relying on Barton to be that dude, I mean, maybe. I think Sternad is ultimately going to be moved on. I think Singleton is probably going to be cut. And I guess the only real answer that you would have at that room right now is Drew Sanders because he does get a full offseason finally. And we've seen a lot of Broncos take really unprecedented steps forward, under Sean Payton. So I wouldn't count out Drew Sanders there, but he's one of the top size speed combo guys. And this is just basically a re-roll on the Drew Sanders pick if the Broncos were to go the route of spending decent draft capital on him. So career stats for Cody Lindenberg, 209 tackles, 13 TFLs, 2 sacks, 1 interception. And he actually had the lone pick of the 7-on-7 period in the Senior Bowl today. So yeah, these are some guys who I think would be great Denver Broncos, guys who are, climbing up draft boards and guys who are showing out at the Senior Bowl. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.